seen. Move into approval of 2021 minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the November 2021 minutes?
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Grunland and
I'll second.
and Gaudet. Have to apologize a little bit to you. Bob Drzezinski is out today. Not able to, he won't be able to do his usual administrative job, and Mark Gorka and Chris Wogemuth are doing their best to get the minutes down for the next meeting. Okay. Next on the agenda is the update from the acting statewide interoperability committee. Clayton Portley.
Hi, good morning or good afternoon, everybody. We're still getting a little bit of feedback noise, so if people could just mute if you're not speaking. I'm going to turn on my camera because I'm speaking now, so everybody can see who I am. Can everybody hear me okay?
You're good.
No? Okay. All right, cool. All right, fantastic. So again, if you could just mute, and then if you're not part of the discussion, if you could just, like Scott said, if you could turn your video off so we don't hog everybody's bandwidth that's trying to attend this meeting. I just wanted to, just a couple quick things. I wanted to thank everybody for attending, and as John alluded to earlier, this is a quarterly also user group meeting for the Connecticut State Land Mobile Radio Network. So that's why we have so many people in attendance. Again, we've combined these two meetings just to save efficiencies. A lot of the stuff that we talk about in each meeting is the same. So in order to avoid redundancy, we've combined these two meetings. I just have a couple of updates. One is actually just one update rather, and it's on a backup 911 center that we're creating. I know Bill Ewell had mentioned, bless you, Johnny G. You're muted, but I saw it. Actually, I heard it from the second floor. That was pretty loud. I know Bill Ewell mentioned several user groups ago, DSET had been awarded a grant from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, as people refer to it, to construct a backup 11-position PSAP, complete with a training lab, which is going to be centrally located at Connecticut State Police Academy in Meriden. We're now referring to the facility as the Connecticut Statewide Emergency Communication Center with the acronym CSEC, CSECC. And if people could just mute, I'm hearing a little bit of an echo. The construction portion of CSEC was completed the last week of October, and we were provided with a certificate of substantial completion the first week in November. Over the past couple of months, the training and dispatch furniture have been installed, network and grounding wiring have been completed, PSDN local area network equipment have been installed, along with the generator, access control, and door cameras. By the end of February, we're going to have redundant fiber paths on the PSDN, NG911 consoles, and Connecticut Land Mobile Radio Network radio consoles, which will also have access to most municipal radio systems, an administrative PBX, and a recording system. We're on track to have all the equipment installed by the end of March, which is the grant deadline. This facility is going to be the first of its kind in Connecticut, and it's going to provide critical backup to all of Connecticut's 911 centers. So big thanks for the DSET team who've been working really hard on this. It's been a lot of work, and I really appreciate it. And I know everybody in this call is going to reap the benefits from this center. Just also want to mention, as also part of this grant, we just recently took delivery of 10 NG911 laptops, and we received initial training for them from our 911 provider. We're in the process of development of policies and procedures for their use, and we're going to provide further updates on their deployment. But again, this is unparalleled in Connecticut. We've never had equipment like this. It's because of the NG network and the Connecticut Land Mobile Network and all of you that make this possible. So I just wanted to thank everybody, and I can't wait to have a formal ribbon cutting ceremony at the backup center. And that's my report. So back to you, Johnny G.
Thank you, Clayton. Any questions for Clayton from the body? Okay, we'll move now into my report, and it'll be very short this afternoon in favor of the CLMRN. However, I want to take this opportunity to introduce the new Region 1 CISA coordinator for our area. Those of you in the past know, hi Melissa. So this is Melissa Nazaro. She's formerly the SWIC in Massachusetts, and now she is now the regional coordinator for Region 1. Let her introduce herself and give you a little bit of give you a welcome. Go ahead, Melissa.
Thanks, I appreciate it. So, well, you stole my claim to fame. So while I am the new Region 1 Emergency Communications Coordinator for CISA, a position that's been officially vacant for about 3 years or maybe a bit longer now, and Chris Tuttle from Region 2 had been filling in the absence of an ECC for the last several years. My previous work was in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts as the SWIC, so there are probably some people on this call who I have worked with before or had the opportunity to meet in different capacities in my role in Massachusetts. So I'm very excited to be taking over for the now divorced Region 12. So we were now officially back to being Region 1 and Region 2 as far as ECD is concerned. But I'm really looking forward to being able to work with all the states and moving their emergency communications missions and objectives forward. So John, do you want me just to do the quick update now or wait until?
No, please go ahead and do the update on the technical system. You can listen. Okay,
great. So I'm going to just really quickly give you what I have for updates on the TA, the technical assistance offerings that Connecticut has for with ECD. So I've got 4 quick ones to report out on. The first one, you all had your COMEX completed this past year, and the after action report is done. It actually is going to be needing some comments and review for approval. You get to decide if you want to do a page-by-page review session live, either not necessarily in person, but like, you know, even virtually, like going page by page, or to have the copy sent in draft form and getting feedback for you from you independently. So my suggestion, and take this for what it's worth, is since the purpose of this, based on the information that I was able to gather ahead of time, was task book sign off as opposed to policy or guideline, like actual review, it might make more sense just to get the draft and comment on it to make sure that it meets your needs and not necessarily try to arrange an actual workshop, even a virtual workshop, to go through page by page. So you guys just get to decide how you want to proceed with that. The TICP is the second one. So since the kickoff in September, I believe it was, Charlie and his team have begun putting together their document with the current 5 regional TICPs, some information that they had developed to support the Quad State Regional Communications Enhancement Support, which was Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York, and then the updated information that's being provided by the 5 regional coordinators. They're very close to having the draft for the regional TICPs ready for review and edits prior to a workshop, and then they just need to work with you to figure out how you want to proceed with the workshop. Again, this one's going to be either in person or virtually, but it is going to be a more hands-on than the AAR would necessarily be. As for the FOG, while your TICP is getting closer to its final draft, the next step for your FOG is going to be getting a signed MOU between the state and DHS. So I can get the paperwork over to you, John, later today or first thing tomorrow morning, and then you all can work on it, getting that signed, so that hopefully once the draft of the TICP is ready and it's ready to go to publication for the FOG, all the legal paperwork will be taken care of. Does that work?
That's what we'll do. Our former staff attorney is now our deputy commissioner.
Okay.
So she's well aware of that, but we'll need to look at the paperwork again. It's been a while. COVID's really kind of kicked our, time butt, so to speak, as far as time available to do things. We've been using interoperable communications instead of planning for it. That's great. So that's the best way to go with that. We'll do the CT FOG from the TIC plans.
Yep, that's great. So I'll get you that paperwork so that you can get working on that legal side of stuff. And then the last one, Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Go ahead. No, take care of the last
The
one.
last technical assistance just was the skip and workshop, and I'm just going to be waiting for some direction from you all as to how you want to proceed with that and when you want to start planning for that. So that was the TA updates I had, and the only other thing that I had kind of prepared to speak about, and since I can't see everyone on camera, which is fine, I have some notes on the Log4j threat from December. I didn't know if that was something that would be useful for those on the call to hear a little bit about. I can kind of run through some information, or if you're all aware of the vulnerability and don't need me to waste your time, then I can just move on. Up to you. I can't see people thumbs up or.
I think our cybersecurity folks here in state did a pretty terrific job of putting information out.
Okay.
I doubt if there's anyone that really doesn't know about it. I'm not so comfortable with the fact that everyone knows how their own particular systems will be impacted by it. But those efforts are ongoing through our Fusion Center, and I think everyone's pretty much aware of it. On the skip plan, that sounds good. The AAR, I think you're right, Melissa. There's not it's a very small group that was involved in this, and that's why I think we would share to look at that. Whether we do something virtually amongst ourselves or not, that's unknown, but I think that's probably the way we go on that. So does anybody out there have questions for Melissa? Again, welcome aboard, and we will move right on to the next item of working groups. Technical working group, Mr. Wright.
John, he had to leave unexpectedly, so he's going to be submitting a written report. Apologize for that.
No problem. I hope it wasn't anything serious, Clayton.
I hope not too, but I'll let you know.
Okay, roger that. So the next thing is the broadband working group. Since Bob's not here, Gary McGarriher, FirstNet.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you? And greetings to everyone. I'll be brief. We're continuing to push along. Tower developments continue to move along throughout the region. And I think we're all set to come to a conclusion with the final tower builds for next year. One thing I'd like to bring people's attention to, and I'm not sure if I spoke to before, but we've recently published an emergency management resource guide that is a really good primer of how to use the various FirstNet assets, from the deployable program to the network status tool, how do you uplift folks and things of that nature. I can, Mr. Chair, at your discretion, I can either email you the link, or folks can look it up on our the firstnet.gov and then go to emergency management and you'll find it there. So that's basically what I want to leave with everyone today. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Are there any questions for Gary? Gary, would you send that link to myself and Bob, and we'll get disseminated in Clayton?
Will do. Yep.
And but one thing that's interesting is in the past month, we had a rather large event in one of our cities. That's a traditional annual event in which people play football, where we had significant difficulty with coverage on behalf the part of all wireless services. And it seems that folks don't really understand how the system works, nor do they do effective planning beforehand. In that case, it appears that both FirstNet and the other carriers did not plan well, or were not asked to plan well, for the number of people that were in that particular area using cellular communications of some sort. So that's something we want to make sure that our practitioners, particularly our public safety agencies, take into account, because there's just an assumption. One of the assumptions is that because you put one colt or cow out there, that you're all set for all the carriers, and that's not true, as we all know. So we need to do some good education on the use of cellular, period, in emergency management and public safety situations. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding and maybe misinformation out there.
And John, I could also, if you'd like, as we've talked in the past, we have event planning and for lack of a better term, after action reviews. So if you'd like, we can take a look at what has happened. If you want to together a meeting to try to make sure that that doesn't happen again. Or I could put together a couple of slides and do our event planning, just a quick overview of our event planning services for you.
Okay, well, thank you for the offer, Gary. We'll see how this plays out in getting everybody at the table that needs to be at the table once the germs go away. Okay, Broadband Working Group, CMed Working Group, Betty Morris.
Good afternoon, everyone. We will be meeting tomorrow, as a matter of fact, with the first meeting of the year for the CMed Working Group. We've been challenged, as you can imagine, with EMS and the call volume. All the comm centers are busy, so hoping to get this meeting in with a postponement from last week. So hopefully we're going to try tomorrow and get back on track for 2022. We're waiting for the Commissioner, Department of Public Health, to release the new hospital diversion guideline. That document had been sent up. We haven't received the final. So look forward to reporting out next month.
Thank you, Betty. Any questions for Betty on CMed Working Group? Okay. State Fire Plan Communications Planning. Jeff or Kevin, do we have any updates on that? Jeff Morsak, Kevin Gates?
We have not met recently.
Okay, very good. Training and exercise, Mr. Grenlin and Mr. Victor.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
The individuals who participated in the October COMEX as COML, COMT, and AUXCOM trainees and completed their position task books should by now have received their ID credentials in the mail. Our thanks to Bob Brzezinski and Bob Scatta for their help in getting this done. As we know, there was one hiccup in the process that's since been resolved. Those who have any items remaining in their position task books are encouraged to reach out to their contacts from the exercise to make arrangements to complete the outstanding tasks so they can be credentialed. That's all I have. Keith, anything?
No, I don't have anything either.
Thank you, sir.
John, you're muted.
Thank you. Any questions for Keith or Wayne? Okay, that ends the working group reports. Jerry Zarwanski, do you have a brief report for the FCC 8 and Region 8 and 19?
2022 greetings to all. The next scheduled Region 19 meeting is on March 8th. The next scheduled Region 8 meeting is February 17th. Both meetings start at 10 o'clock a.m. The Region 19 Technical Subcommittee meets at a minimum on the first Thursday of each month and as needed. We had multiple special meetings to complete the 34 New York City Transit Authority applications. At this time, we have completed all those applications. Applications that are pending with Region 8 at this time, Region 19, is City of Northampton, Mass, and City of Boston, Mass. So we are working on those at this time. Something to bring to your attention in 6 gigahertz. The courts rejected APCO's suit against FCC in the 6 gigahertz order. There were several agencies that asked for a stay of the order so rules could be put in place to protect current public safety incumbent licensees. There are technical requirements for outdoor use, but not for indoor use. The frequencies will be assigned by an automated process called AFC, Automated Frequency Coordination. And that's all I have, John. Any questions? You're muted.
Yes. Any questions for Jerry? Okay, moving right along. Update from Demis regions. We'll start with the tribes. Is anyone on from the tribes? None. Region 1. Demis Region 1.
Good afternoon. Here I am. Hi, John.
Hi, Joe.
Joe Gaudet. Good afternoon, everyone. We were not able to meet at the beginning of the month due to the the spike in the COVID cases there. So I don't have anything to report at this point, John.
Okay, thank you. Region 2.
Would you like me to take that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Region 2, the only update we have is the PSAP to PSAP project is been moving forward. All 30 municipal PSAPs or 30 municipalities that have PSAPs have been reprogrammed, and that hotline program is on the CLMRN, and the second phase will begin shortly. Pending other updates by yourself or Scott. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Jake. Scott had to drop off. He's still off. I will say this about this project is that we now have a seamless two-way voice radio command and control network between all PSAPs in Region 2, taking the place of the old law enforcement low band systems, and also able to be expanded and enhanced throughout the state using the state's control stations that we provided to all the PSAPs. It's already had some uses that I'm not able to go into at this point in time, but it's a good step forward and taking good advantage of the state's technology that's available. Any more questions for Region 2? Region 3, Mr. Victor.
Okay, Region 3, we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I've decided to step down, and Mike Boucher will be the chairperson for ESF2 for Region 3. And we were, at that meeting, we decided to go over several items such as updating the MCVs and things like that. Our next meeting is March 10th, I believe it is. And that's pretty much my report. You're muted.
I'm not sure that button today. Are you staying on as the interop rep?
I don't know what CROG has to prep. I know Cheryl was there, and that's pretty much what I've told him. I says, you know, I retired from the West Hartford last year, and I told him, I says, you know, need somebody that's in there that's active. So Mike's not on today, I don't believe. So,
John, we did vote to keep Keith as a co-chair, so he is a co-chair of the group now.
Well, it's really a separate issue. To be a member of the executive committee, Interop Executive Committee, the region needs to nominate him or put in a nominee to the deputy commissioner. The deputy commissioner will decide whether that's the person they want to serve as in that position. It's not appointed by the region, it's nominated by the region, so just so you guys know. Okay, Region 4, Mr. Grumman.
Yes, sir. Like everyone else, we're in the quiet of COVID winter. Our next meeting for Region 4 ESF2 will be by virtual Zoom on Friday, the 11th of February. Not much else to say. Thank you.
Muted again. Okay, anything for Wayne? Region 5, Mr. Russo.
Good afternoon, all. Our Region 5 did meet at the beginning of January. Our regional comm plan is a work in progress. I will leave most of the Connecticut CLMRN comments to Steve Savage when that group comes up to speak. We have still hoping on a relocation for MCV5. It is, to my knowledge, still at the State Garage in Danbury. Thank you, John, for your efforts. And we have had no emergency requests or deployments. And as far as Homeland Security grants, it came to my ears that all on the vertical lift antenna system, all known FEMA questions have been answered, and which is still a work in progress. I'm awaiting your permissions to have the experimental build subject to your approval so we can finalize this project and get it done.
Now to the vertical antenna system, I don't believe everything has been answered. I believe that there has to be letters of certification on certain issues that I'm not, privacy being one. Doug Glowacki's been in communications with your fiduciary about those things. And
Privacy, okay.
Doug-
There was two questions. I'm sorry.
Doug Glowacki. And really, this has to be, and part of the problem is this needs to be answered by a custodial owner who will own it, which is Ridgefield. And they need to be the one that's committing themselves to that issue. So let's take it offline, and maybe Steve can work through Doug Glowacki and John Field and get this squared away.
Understood and received.
Okay. Okay, Region 5, it's done. Any state agencies that would like to report out? Any federal agencies that would like to report out? Not appearing. We will now segue over to the section of the CLMRN, and I will turn the meeting over to Clayton for that part.
Hello again. Thanks, John. I don't think I'm on mute. Testing. Okay. So the general updates I took care of when I did my update. So we're going to move into the NCC update. And for those of you, I'm sure everybody knows, but just a quick refresh, the Network Control Center is the central nervous system of our radio system. They monitor the radio system and everything associated with it 24/7. And our manager is Julie Gatson, and she has a presentation for you all.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year. Thank you, Clayton. I'm just going to get my screen shared here. So if somebody can give me a confirmation that you're able to see it.
I can see it, Julie. It looks great.
Got it. You're on.
Awesome. Thank you. So again, each one of the CLMRN quarterly meetings, we like to do just a little presentation of information from the NCC and any stats that we may have. Recent and upcoming upgrades, we are continuing work with our
Julie,
manager.
the presentation disappeared.
Oh no. Okay, let's try. All right. Are we
It's back? Yep.
Okay. So recent and upcoming upgrades, we're still working through our manager of managers implementation. This is basically a platform that allows us to take all the different monitoring systems that we have and kind of feed it into one screen, which the idea for that is to improve monitoring response and help with route trouble determination. So I have a little sneak peek coming up for that for you guys. We are working to upgrade our ETS, which is the emergency telephone system throughout the state of Connecticut. We have that at all the troops, all of our shelter locations, and it is converting over to a VoIP system. The Adesta field technicians have been out doing all the installation work for infrastructure, routers, switches, gateways, and so forth. So that is continuing to progress. Adesta, CTS, and RSS, which is Remote Site Services. They are one of the contractors for CTS for their shelter maintenance. The three entities have been working together on upgrading multiple HAVAC controllers throughout the state to improve, again, HAVAC monitoring and ability to intervene with any sort of HAVAC issues that might occur at the site without hopefully having to send a physical person to the location. We have that in place at one of our sites now in Wolcott, and it's actually been working out quite well. So we're continuing the deployment of that to the other locations. Additional updates. NCC has been working with CTS and Motorola to streamline the CLMRN partner onboarding process. Our system is growing very quickly, so we want all parties to be able to be aware of all the responsibilities and protocols that go on, because we know everyone has a little bit of a different setup. Nothing is standard any longer with as large of a network as we have. So we want to make sure that we have all those details and can respond as best as possible. In addition, we're also working with the DSET team on the new CSEC for access protocols over there, ensuring that we have keyless entry to the 4 doors that are there, as well as protocols for people to key code in and for us to keep records of all of that information and to alert CTS. So those are our upgoing notes.
Hey, Julie, there was a question from John Gustafson. are the Demis offices with the ETS phones, and this is a good question, are they slated to get new ETS phones as well?
That is a great question. I believe that it's upgrading fully throughout all ETS programs. Rich Gordon, are you on the line with me? If so, would you have any updates on that? All right, he might be tied up, but I will actually verify that information. But to the best of my knowledge, they're upgrading any location that has an ETS phone at this time.
All right,
so
thanks.
Those would convert over to VoIP. And if there's anything different than that, I will make sure that you guys are aware.
Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome. And a little sneak peek of our manager of managers, which we're currently configuring right now. The left here is kind of an event view. Anybody who's in the past toured our NCC has seen a very similar type of view from our network management system, where all that information kind of comes in onto the screen, tells us the alarms, the location, time it came in. You can see on the left, it kind of breaks out Astro, NICE is our recorders, anything non-RNI, which would be, stuff going on at the shelters, whether it's power, whether it's our remote telemetry devices or our channel banks, things like that. And then infrastructures, OSS infrastructure, such as some of the servers and stuff. All of those type of things are going to be monitored and come in on one screen. And we're working through with Motorola, CTS, Genesis, Adesta, and Genesis has a company called Calibri that actually has the product here. And so we've been working together to do the configurations and implementation on this project. On the right screen, what's great with this is it actually provides us a little more visual information, KPI information. You can see we did have, there was a fiber outage Monday morning around 6 a.m. that ended up impacting Groton and Stonington and our Vinegar Hill location. And it's really cool to be able to see that visually as well as just seeing it from an alarm view. So for the NCC staff, this is something we're very excited about. And we know for the CTS team too, to be able to utilize these KPIs would really be beneficial. So I hope to have even more information for our next meeting. Any questions about that? Okay, I'm going to go on. So I also like to profile some of our employees. As we are the room where everybody calls for troubles, it's nice to put a face to a name when you're calling. So these are some of our staff members. These are our Op2s. We've got Todd Boniuto. He's been with us about 16 years. Todd predominantly works evenings. Brian Harrison has been with us 3 years, and he's on the midnights. Brian is the one that helps do a lot of our Genesis reports and get those sent off. And then Chris Ferrone he's been with us for 2 years, and he usually works days. He actually comes to us with about 15 years experience from the security department over at Millstone Nuclear Power. So he brought a lot of great security protocols to the center. So those are our folks, and when you're calling in, please feel free to let them know you saw their pictures and were introduced to them via the meeting. Okay, so the stuff that everybody loves, all the stats. So this is an overall 2021 look at our calls and push to talks. I'm not going to go into obviously every one of the stats, and I know that they usually send out this recording so you guys can look at it a bit later, but I just think one of the most interesting things is you can very easily see the growth of the network from January 2021 to December 2021. I mean, it's a steep incline, so that's just a testament to how quickly and that the system is growing and handling everything so sufficiently. So again, we're very excited about that and very happy with all of our partners that are continuing to come onto the system. And I like to do a little top 20 talk groups, and I do it by push to talk, and I also do it by airtime. So this is for the last quarter of 2021, Q4, and you can see that, let's see, I hope I'm not going to mess up. It's Stanford. Thank you. You can see Stanford still in the lead by a great margin there, as they were last quarter as well. And it's funny because really they're pretty much doubling talk group 6 through 20 at this point. But it's just really, I think it's really interesting to take a look at how the different talk group usage is. We have some common ones that are in here in the top 20 pretty much every time. Stanford, New Britain, Troop H, Troop G. So it's just kind of fun to see the big difference on how the stats work in and the different usage amounts. And then when we get into our airtime, it does change up a little bit. You can see Stanford actually moves into number 2 when it comes to airtime. So they push the button a lot, but they don't actually stay on for long periods of time is basically what that amounts to. And again, when you look at your top 2 here, we're almost doubling the second half of the users of the talk groups that are there. So again, just some fun information to see. And as always, we like to finish with a big thank you to our users. The system wouldn't be where it is without all of your support and feedback. So we really greatly appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Clayton unless anyone has any questions.
All right, thanks, Julie. Joe's keeping his first responders busy there in Stanford.
Yes, he is.
And not to worry, we have plenty of capacity. So I know that comes up a lot. Even though the system's growing exponentially, we still have plenty of capacity for new users and existing users. So the next one is the MOU status update, and I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Gorka, Mark Gorka.
Thank you, Clayton. So basically, we've signed some more MOUs. We have a total of 109 executed at this time, and recently received 3 more signed MOUs, and they're on their way to the commissioner for his signature. Public safety partners who have signed an MOU since our last update: the City of Groton, Town of Mansfield, City of Norwalk, Town of Roxbury, and Norwalk Hospital. We have some coverage maps on our webpage that show other state agencies, municipalities, and public safety partners that are live on the network. And an update will be made soon. We just had some more added to the network. Recently, we've had some people inquiring about Fire Act grants and other funding about purchasing equipment. And just wanted to remind everybody, if you are searching some funding, just to reach out to CTS, the unit, and they can review the equipment to make sure it's P25 compatible and compatible with the network. Our legal department has been updating the MOU that we've been using, and it's going to be an agreement now. Going forward, we'll start using it with new users. If you currently have a signed MOU, there's no changes. We don't have to update that MOU. And videos of the CLMRN meetings have been posted to YouTube. We'll send out a reminder with the notes from this meeting, and I'll include a link for that as well, in case you want to go back and look. And in July of 2020, we did a user group survey, and we're currently working on a second survey just to get some feedback from users to help us with making improvements. And that's all I have.
All right, thanks, Mark. And so Mark also manages our website too, and I know he touched on it a little bit, but there is a wealth of information. So it's off of the DESPP website, and then navigate, and again, Mark will send out the link, but he's done a great job. So it's DESPP's website, and then go to DSET, Division of Statewide Emergency Telecommunications, and then you'll see the link for CTS. and you click on that link, and there's a wealth of information that Mark constantly puts up there and updates. So I encourage anybody has any questions about the system, wants to know who our partners are, who's on the system, all that information is represented on that website. And thank you, Mark, for doing that. I know it's a lot of work, and I appreciate everything that you do. Let's see. So unfortunately, Scott Wright is not able to do his engineering update. He had to leave the meeting abruptly. So I do apologize for that. He does have the update in written form, and that's going to be distributed sometime after the meeting ends. So I'm going to give the meeting back to John Gustafson, and it looks like we're going to head into some old business.
Hopefully there is none. There is no old business that I know of. Does anyone else have any old business? Okay, any new business? We're moving right along here. We have no correspondence this month. Hello?
John, it's Nick.
Yeah, Nick, go ahead.
I know we talked about it at the COMEX, but I thought I'd bring it up on a new business is the establishment of a group for the MCVs to start looking at their future and upgrades needed to them.
Yeah, it's on the list as soon as COVID stops doing its thing.
Okay, just wanted to put that on the agenda list. Thank you.
Yep, okay, thank you, Nick. All right, old business, new business, correspondence, there are none. We have not approved any interoperability grants since the last meeting. Although I think there'll be some projects moving forward shortly. Our next meeting will be February 15th, 2022 at 1 p.m. Is there any other business? Is there any public comment before I adjourn? Hearing none, accept the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Wayne. Second?
Second. Second,
By Betty Potts. Okay. Okay, all those in favor, raise your hand. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
All right, thanks everybody. Take care.
Yeah, cool. Right now. Let it go. Indeed. Indeed. Let me get rid of some of these. What is this? All righty now. This is good. This has been a very productive day. Lots of good interaction and good I almost forgot the Cash App. Cheryl, Yoma, Linda. Excellent. Carla, Michelle. Good job. Good job. Good job. Let's see about that.